Hey, welcome back to the Psychic Soul Healer channel. My name is Laura, and I'm going to do a general message for Aquarius. Know that energy is fluid. Roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Didn't know what zodiac I was going to do, and then I just said, you know what? I feel like it's an Aquarius type of day. I don't know why. Now, if you're new to the channel, know that I like to look at everything. I don't just like to look at what goes on the surface. We look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, see how they play out as karmic themes within your experience. This will allow you to break karmic cycles because you'll have awareness. Now, we all have free will, however, so it's up to you to take the proper action. However, with the awareness, a lot of times, whether we want to change it or not, something will irritate us enough that we'll wind up changing. And if we are really connected to someone that we have this unconditional love for, well, again, we are going to change. Now, if you're new to the channel, know that anything of any importance to the channel you can find in the description box. And if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, you got to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write the word of the video in your comment bar. The word of the video is the underlining energy that spirit wants us to look at. It's why everyone is doing what they're doing. When we're dealing with shadows, a lot of times we deal with masks. So what a person really feels is not going to be mirrored out within their behaviorisms. People tend to overcompensate, undercompensate. So someone that overcompensates acts like they might make so much money that they're more successful than they actually are. They overdo it. Or they can breadcrumb and give very little. They're not coming from their true self, their higher self. So, like I said, it's important to know why, because if we are dealing with someone that we perceive as our soulmate, we would obviously want them to treat us well. If they don't treat us well and we choose to stick around in that environment over time, we begin to view ourselves the way that that person is treating us. So, which is bad. All right. So all energy, all karmic energy, like there's many different realities that play out at one time. Your level of consciousness will determine the type of karmic that plays out. All right, so let's see. The underlying energy is pride. Okay. Someone feels again that you're in separation from someone right now, that they want to come back, but what actually stops them from coming back is pride. It's like they don't want to seem weak. So this is someone that like overcompensates in the fact of they want to show that they don't care. They don't want to show vulnerability. They don't want to show that they're weak. They have a closed heart chakra. They're afraid to love. And so I feel like this person did a lot of things that normally they wouldn't be embarrassed about, but they're embarrassed because what they see is that there really is a connection. And so they're fighting with themselves. That's the underlining energy. So again, if you want to enter into winning a reading with me, you got to write pride in your comment bar. So let's see how the hidden truth, because like I said, a shadow is not going to play out as what the person really feels. They people disassociate, they detach, they reject that part of themselves, and that's why they create a mask. So let's pull four. I left you before you could leave me. So this person again doesn't feel good about themselves. Again, I said it showed you a version of themselves that they wanted you to perceive that they are, but that's not really who they are. I'm so attracted to you. So again, what they still is that they like, well, I thought I could just walk away and and not care, but it's like I can't stop thinking about you. So again, spiritual connections, there is a lot of attraction. We wouldn't stick around long enough to learn the spiritual lesson or to look at ourselves. So this connection is actually making the person that again you're connected to or that's connected to you, whatever, that they can't stop. They can't stop thinking about you. It's making them think about themselves, their actions, their behaviorisms, how they got to where they are, and it's making them feel really uncomfortable. I feel like at one time this person thought that you were toxic. And they thought that you were toxic because they've gone through relationships where people try to control them, people manipulate them. So you couldn't even really have a conversation with this person without them getting triggered. Everything that they heard was filtered through the trauma from their past experiences. I wish I could take back my words, and they acted cocky, and now it's like, now I have to actually, I didn't want to seem vulnerable. I wanted to seem like I don't care. I wanted to seem like I'm strong, like I'm not vulnerable, like I'm like this person. And like I overdid it, like is what I feel like that they think. They're like, well, it's like I was just trying to, create that facade. And so what they're saying is like, wow, like what I did, that's what I did. I love you unconditionally. It's again, that's the soul relationship. And that, so again, this person has gone like full circle. They always knew who you were, but they didn't want to admit it. They were like, no, I'm not going to do it that way because I'm not going to be vulnerable, because when I'm vulnerable, I get hurt. It doesn't work out. Relationships really don't work out. This is their perception due to their experiences that they've gone through. Is that truth? No, that's their perception. They're locked into a limited perception. I don't know where to pull from this deck. I don't know why. It's just because it's here. Um, I can see myself with you in the future. Yeah, because it's, again, you change their way. There's a part of them that's like, relationships don't work out for me. And the reason why relationships don't work out for them is because they go for lower hanging fruit where they don't have to give anything. And so there's a consequence for being with a person that's lower hanging fruit. And when I say lower hanging fruit, it means that they don't know their worth. So they don't invest in themselves. They're looking for someone to come in and fix their life um, instead of creating their life. When you create your life, you know your worth. You're connecting to other people through that common interest. It's like you feel good about yourself. There's an energy. So this person actually is like, well, you're like, look, you were able to walk away from me. Usually I get what I want. Usually people, fight. Everybody wants me. Like there was this like cocky like facade that again is the ego. And that is because of that. But if you're going to like, you know, if you go into like the crack house, again, I'm not saying that they were with that type of person, but if you're going to like a place that's like not with a bunch of people that don't know their worth, that don't treat themselves like anything, that don't invest in themselves, that don't love themselves, that have only had bad relationships, that are scarred, well, are those options? Or do you even consider that an option, or are you just using that person to get what you want and you don't really want to give anything but you're safe? It's again, there is a sense of strategizing too much within the relationship, and there's a closed heart chakra. So the thing is, this person sees the difference. It's like, well, you didn't put up with it. Like you didn't put up with it, like you made your life. And they were like, I didn't expect that because I felt the connection, so I know you really liked me. Yes, you did really like them. However, you don't like them more than you like yourself, and that's why what this person doesn't understand. And this is why it's like almost like they're so attracted to you. Again, reminiscing, it's like they were like, the more that this person tries not to think about it, the more that like are thinking about it, which is really frustrating for them, because they were like, I thought for sure that time would like, I could manipulate this too, the way I manipulate everything else. Like I usually get my way. I'm 10 steps ahead. Well, not when it comes to love. Love is the energy of God. It's the universe. That is the universal panacea. That's the magic pill. That is the only thing that heals, the only thing that transcends all time and space, the only thing that can't be manipulated, it can't be broken. So again, like your person like doesn't look at everything from a very logical, analytical way. And it's the way that they learned how to survive. that they every time that they had to try to like tap into their emotions and feelings, it wound up not working out. It wound up again, if we don't feel good about ourselves and we want love, but we don't believe that we are deserving of love, and maybe again, we don't consciously, like in this, the person doesn't consciously know that that's what they're thinking. It's like it's become a part of them through their behaviorisms. So what heals again? Love. I still have growing to do. So it's again, that's what relationships do. Soul relationships that need healing is again pulls up that mirror, makes us look at ourselves, make us look and change. We don't want to change a lot of time. Healing doesn't feel good. It means I got to do things different. I got to be uncomfortable. I don't know how that's going to go logically. I need to figure this out. So understand your person's process is slow. It's slow, but that doesn't mean that they're slow everywhere. Usually people that have spiritual blocks in certain areas, they excel in other areas. That's how the universe does. It's like you would learn from each other. We grow from each other, and we wouldn't stick around long enough unless there was unconditional love. Fights, arguments, conflict, everything always wound up in that way. Your person doesn't know how to express themselves. And because they grew up in an environment where they didn't see that, number one. And number two, it's because that's how their relationships play out. It's always a power struggle. And the reason why is because they go for people that don't know their value. They don't treat them well. And then what happens is they're like, okay, I'm done. But those people are already emotionally imbalanced because they're not doing for themselves. They're looking for the answer outside of themselves. And so what happens is like there's payback time. It's like because that the people that they go for are giving all the energy, they feel like they've sacrificed so much that, and then they feel disposed of, which is usually what the childhood wound is. The person feels abandoned, the person feels like they weren't good enough. They grew up in that type of environment. And a lot of times it wasn't conscious. It was, again, the parents were dealing with their own trauma. And so they couldn't be there for them. So there's a sense of that person reliving their trauma, and then it becomes very toxic. It becomes all about like, fireworks, because it's like there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of, I always say it's like when we have a wound, it's like if you stub your toe on the coffee table, every time you like walk by and hit your toe on the coffee table, you would smash that table into 1,000 pieces and not care. You would say, I don't care who's around, I don't care how crazy I look, I don't care, because you would feel that energy. But that energy is actually, that anger is supposed to be transmuted. It's the only element that transmutes our wounds, meaning integrates, like it's through the grounding and it's through the soulmate connection, the soulmate twin flame connection, because we wouldn't find balance. We wouldn't know compromise because we weren't taught that. And on some level, we're like, I'm not doing that because it doesn't feel safe or comfortable to me. And it's all about my survival, and which works when it comes to, again, business and other things that are grounded and structured, but not love, not the creative genius. In order for the creative genius to flow through you, you have to be a clear conduit for spirit to work through you. So you have to hold your vibration on a high enough vibration, which again, the twin flame connection usually has a hard time doing this. It's a balancing act. And it's because they think differently, their approach to life is differently, everything is different, but it's the same. The experiences were the same. And so we have to say, well, what are the triggers? Triggers, the emotional triggers. Now, if you're someone that gets emotionally triggered, you have to do breath work. You got to retrain your nervous system. You have to, again, integrate the spiritual wound. It's very important. Otherwise, we tend to continually react. Remember, your body's a mind's faithful servant. So we live on autopilot a lot of times when we get triggered by an outside stimuli because your amygdala, that's what its job is to send out outside stimuli that corresponds with any spiritual block that we've ever gone through, any experience that's traumatic. So this is why unconsciously your person keeps reliving the same experiences. So that's why they've began to overcompensate within more of the logical analytical mind where they're like, I'm going to strategize, I'm going to control. And that's annoying energy, just so that you know, because it's completely fear-based. Okay, soulmate, but again, they know that you're their soulmate. And that the whole thing is it's like, well, now what? It's like I have to compromise. I have to figure this out because I can't live with you and I can't live without you and I can't live with myself again because I'm lonely. And I'm tired of feeling this because that's really what it feels like when we don't feel like we can have love. And so this person made you feel like you weren't loved because they didn't give. They overcompensated by giving you a little bit. I just want to seem confident, so I'm going to starve you out. It's like instead of, like really living a life when we're really invested in our life, we don't need to play games like that. It's like again, that's how it plays out. Okay, past. And then what happens is that because it never gets healed, the situation continues to play out. It's the same karmic theme. So this is what makes these relationships not work out because it's like you're not listening to me, or every time you do something, you trigger me. So it's really, again, you're getting this person as a mirror to teach you, to help heal you, to help you actually learn what unconditional love is, because on some level you didn't feel it. Both parties didn't feel it. More information, and then we're going to look more deeper into the spiritual stuff, and then I'll channel. I wish I could fix things between us. They can. This person, again, is too much, like, again, coming from the past, not really believing. And it's all their pride. So it's like now they're like kind of, I feel like feeling sorry for themselves. Like, oh, like I just messed it up. Nobody ever likes me, or it never works out. The same thing happens where it's really like you can fix it, but you'd have to put your big boy pants on, your big girl pants on, and be honest and be vulnerable. Oh, that's a problem. This person doesn't want to be vulnerable. Again, they're too busy, again, protecting their heart. I'm afraid of losing you. But again, when it's unconditional love, it's like, well, I'm continuously battling with myself, is what they feel right now. I'm continually battling myself. Say you are the first thing on my mind when I wake up in the morning. Again, so this is what happens when we don't do anything with that energy. The person is like becoming obsessive because their way of love has always been in balance. So attachment, codependency, and there's a sense of them not really being grounded. It is actually a form of escapism when we don't feel well about ourselves. Where are we? We're in fantasy land. It's again where does this person really even want to be in a relationship, or are they caught up in the whole ambiance of getting the relationship because they don't really know what it is? They want it, but they don't. They tend to be like all over the place, but their feelings is, again, now that you're not in their life, they're seeing the value, seeing that. We have to go deeper because it's like these are all feelings and emotions. And so when there's feelings and emotions, again, the person's not really doing anything. They're just grounding and processing information. So this is like, you may feel like, oh my God, this person like isn't moving. They're really slow. It's like, this is my person. Why are they moving slow? It's because they have a lot of blocks when it comes to relationships, because it's how they view themselves due to the experiences that they went through in their life. So a person that has trauma, they overthink, they can't get out of their own way. They sabotage themselves a lot of times by overthinking. So that's why we have to go deeper, because it's like, well, kind of relationship is this? Okay, I can't validate our love in the 3D until I understand our spiritual love in the 5D. Give me time to explore this aspect so I can be a strong spiritual partner for you. So it's again, they've never experienced love like this before. So it's again, it's terrifying. They're like, first of all, I have a lot of spiritual issues. Like when it comes to love, this person. It's like they might not say spiritual, they might say I have a lot of psychological, they might say I'm really fucked up when it comes to this, part. I just know that it doesn't work. This aspect of my life doesn't work. And so the thing is, it's like they can't deny this connection. That first they try to run from it, then they try to pretend that it was there. They've done everything, and so they can't walk away. And so it's leading them into the spiritual realm. This person, I feel like, tends to be very logical, analytical, and it's the way that they learned how to survive due to their trauma, due to their experiences, how they grew up. So it's again, this is like a different language. That's why it's the twin flame relationship thinks differently. The approach to life is different, and the gifts are different. So it's almost like, oh, this is my other half. It's like my perfect person. It's that they come in and they have those gifts that you feel like you're broken in. Parts that you're like, this part of myself doesn't work. And Spirit's saying, it does work. It's that you have to view, and your approach needs to be different. You're projecting your own fears and limitations onto me. Go within and understand that you are seeing yourself, not me. So your person again tends to project a lot, like you said, and they know that, which is why they're like, I'm not strong. Like this connection, though I love and I feel our connection, it's very triggering for me. It's triggering because I don't know whether I can have love. I want love. It stirs up a lot of feelings and emotions that I don't really know how to process, because I learned to navigate my life by not including that. Not in which is we can't. In order to be a whole person, you have to again also utilize your emotions. You have to be emotionally intelligent. A lot of times you see very successful business people and they're just not emotionally intelligent. And it doesn't mean that they're not nice people, it's that they don't feel safe. They don't know how to communicate. They communicate the same way that they were communicated to. And so they're not aware. But that's what, again, these twin flame relationships are supposed to do. They're supposed to be like mirrors so that we project, so that we actually look at ourselves, because the unconditional love makes us do that. Our inner guidance is clear, but our ego is resisting it. So again, this is what I said with the pull pride thing in the beginning. This is the underlining energy. So there's this whole, almost like this connection has made your person like have to do a deep dive with inside of themselves. And they're like, what is going on here? It's like, it's making them feel like they're losing their mind, because they're like, I I don't want to think about it, but the more that I don't think about it, the more that I think about it, the more that I don't control, the more feelings that I have, the more like it's like almost like I feel like it's a spiral, because they tend to be very again grounded, and this is not grounding energy. It makes them go up in their head and makes them like have to think, and they don't like in that matter unless it's some to figure something out. They don't really want to think about their feelings and their emotions and what's transpired in the past and what has hurt them, but they need it. I long for your kisses and your touch. Again, there's always a lot of passion. Again, passion is that fire element as well. It's what transmutes the wound. So fire is not just uh, grounding. It's that passion allows us to find our balance so that we can create something, so that we can contribute to humanity together in a joint way, bringing the best of the divine feminine and the divine masculine together. Otherwise, it just can't happen. It's like if we wouldn't find balance. What makes us find balance is that it's like we love that person, and it makes us be like, oh, I gotta like be a little bit different because I hurt that person's feelings, or maybe, you know, I should, do something that I normally wouldn't do, even though it's terrifying, right? We wouldn't do these things. I close my eyes and imagine you're here with me. It feels so real. I'm beginning to understand this is what it means to be in the 5D with you. So I believe that again, even though that this person's been separate from you and has tried to control everything, but they're like, you're like, you're still here. Why, how are you still here in my brain? And then they finally like surrender to it and be like, oh, well, you know what? It's like that. That's like, I can still feel you. Like you're still there, even though I've done a lot of things like by now, like I shouldn't feel anything. I shouldn't feel anything. You shouldn't feel anything, but when it's unconditional love, it can't be broken. It's that both parties weren't taught what unconditional love was. And it's because the love was conditional. We, on some level, had to live in an environment that created created where we had to overcompensate is what I feel like your person is saying. Like I wasn't allowed to just be myself. I didn't feel comfortable to be myself, so I took on a role, and that role, like, as long as I played that role, I was loved. If I didn't, like, then again, the love was conditional. So what you're learning is unconditional love. That even though there may be passion and the triggers and whatever, that it can't be broken, it can't be manipulated. It's the whole point of why we're here, to be an expression of love. We have to obviously love ourselves. And so our twin helps us do that. We wouldn't look at our shadows. We wouldn't know how to integrate it. It's like, well, I mean, you're going to be however old, at least 20, 30, 40 by the time that you meet your twin flame. It's again, you don't usually meet them in your 20s either. You meet them later on in life because you've had to acquire your wounds. You had to acquire the perceptions. You had to, again, embody a certain way of being for a certain amount of time, which is what is really making you perceive that you're that person that or that you really can't have whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, that you're blocked. You wouldn't be able to heal that. So you accumulate these situations that, again, over time, they come out in your habits and your behaviorisms. What helps heal it is the actual love. Like it's, again, we're learning to integrate. So my heart is with another right now. I have to finish this karmic contract in order to be free. I believe that, again, your person wound up being like with somebody, um, like because again, going for lower hanging fruit, those people don't really invest in themselves. They look for someone to invest in them, so that there's a sense that your person feels like they were trapped by this person. Your person feels as if they are obligated to this person, and part of this is because they don't love themselves enough, and that they need to do like the inner child work, because it's like they don't really want to be. A karmic contract means I'm stuck with this person. It's like, and it's where I'm learning a lesson, a spiritual lesson, and it's because I haven't learned it. So even though I'm with them, I'm thinking about you. However, I never cared before. I could stay connected to this karmic and not care because I got my needs met through possibly cheating, possibly being with a lot of other people, because our relationship really wasn't a relationship. However, this karmic is like this relationship is a relationship because I'm making it that way, and you gave me too much power because you felt guilty for not really loving me, but I don't care. So there's this sense of like almost like not being able to, not having their own life. And that happens when we've been controlled and we're not really living from our true self, our higher self. So it's like this person like needs to do the healing. He obviously need to do the healing. And so sometimes our soulmates, let's just see, just like you, I'm always doing some form of mission. My energy and wisdom supports those around me. So again, your person was the fixer and the doer, and that's how they felt good about themselves. However, they were connected to someone there's no love, and where they're being dominated, and they have to finish the karmic contract. And finishing the karmic contract usually just is loving yourself enough to make those changes without feeling manipulated, where I feel like, again, that lower hanging fruit, that's what it's going to do. It's going to, again, come from a place of survival and project all the fears and so being able to differentiate only happens if you love yourself. Otherwise, then we do feel responsible. So, which is actually at the root of your person's issues. So, the best thing that we can say is, why did you attract this person into your life? Because you're a mirror of whom what comes into your life. So, if you feel like, well, I wound up getting together with this person that they pretended that they could be in a relationship with me, but they really couldn't because they're connected to a karmic. And so, and then they don't come back and apologize, and they don't come back and apologize, obviously, because they're connected to a karmic and they didn't want to seem weak. So now they're confronted with the actual, like, I actually have feelings and I shouldn't have played all those games because now, like, you're so far away from me and I don't really even know how to fix it. I would have to tell you everything. I would have to, like, again, change. It's like I have to change, and in changing, that's going to disrupt a lot of people. So you have to say, well, again, why did I attract this person into my life? And you have to say, well, then you have to look at the inner child wounds in order to understand what needs to be integrated. What is the karmic theme? Suppression, not being allowed to be yourself. It's like being connected to this person. They wanted everything on their terms. They wanted to breadcrumb you and hopefully like you were going to give them enough. So this person is actually being suppressed. So in order for them to feel good, they would have to be connected to someone that they suppress. It's again that the way unconsciously it happens. It comes out in the behavior. That's why your person tends to control, like my way or the highway, that makes them feel strong about themselves, but it's really a weak way, and it's really like a mask. Again, sting, not being able to express yourself. Again, and I say that's another form of suppression, right? Being able to express yourself, having your own style. And that love is conditional. Like if you're going to be connected to this person, it's going to be conditional, and that they get people like that until that the people like are like, well, now I see an opening, and now things are going to be my way. And I put up with a lot of shit, so I'm really angry, and I don't like myself, so I'm going to again push it all away. Again, and it's not being able to be innocent and like a child, right? So if we grew up in an environment where we felt like we need to be an adult, like again, our love was conditional, and that is if we had to be perfect. Being perfect, there is no perfect. We have to find our own unique style, and again, and not suppress it. We're supposed to be expressions of love, and so again, just growing up in those things. So what you would need to do is be like a child, find your unique individuality. It's again, and don't suppress it, share it with the world, because then the universe conspires to bring you people, situations, and experiences that rewrite those karmic programs. You grew up in a family, again, that didn't allow you to be you. On some level, you would be taught that you're not lovable, not because that's really what they even meant to do, but again, how it winds up playing out. So it's really important to that spirit was saying, like right now, if you get together with anybody, you're going to get together with someone that's broken, someone that's only going to reactivate those spiritual inner child wounds instead of, you know, and not really do anything about it because this person's not capable of doing anything about it, not because they don't want to. It's again because of the environment that they grew up in. But you would be taking on that karma by being with this person that's not capable. So you have to put it into yourself. You have to put the energy into yourself. Otherwise, you become like the lower hanging fruit that waits for somebody to change, where it's you have to change. And know this: when you change, that person's going to change the way that it happens. Not that that's what you want. It's again, and that life's a journey. That it's time to move on. It's like get off this track, get on a new track. And a new track is just by thinking differently, knowing what you're deserving of, investing in yourself. And so when we invest in ourselves, we put it in the universe's hands, and the universe conspires to bring us exactly what we need. Otherwise, we, draw in bonds that aren't healthy, you know. You want to be in a relationship that brings you back to a place that makes you feel free, that makes you feel like a child, that brings out the best in both of you. And so the universe ends off by saying, just be true to yourself. The kingdom of heaven is inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it. Invest in yourself, love yourself, bank on yourself first, be true to yourself, and the universe will conspire to bring you everything that you need to change your mind and your heart about things that you don't perceive that you can have or be. It's like we don't look to those things. We look to where we want to go, and then we put the energy out there the best way that we know how. And the universe conspires to bring us the perfect things to help us obtain our goals. It's what we have to have faith, even just the mustard seeds. And I'm going to leave that there. And remember, if you want to enter into a free reading with me, do not forget to write the word pride in your comment bar. All right. Bye-bye.